I somewhat recently made a video about a Cookie Run ship that launched my channel into the realm of people beyond my immediate circle seeing it. And surprisingly enough, it was met with mostly positive reviews. So when this poll I made not long after showed that people wanted me to talk about ships again, I wasn't all that surprised. Today, instead of critique, I aim to put a positive spin on the ships in this series that I do like. I'll be going in order from closest to canon to least close to canon, from commonplace to the rarest of rare pairs. Same disclaimer as last time applies. Agree with me or not, I don't really care. All I ask is that everyone play nice in the comments. If someone says something that gets you hot and bothered and you can't be respectful, set the keyboard aside. Additionally, this video is not an exhaustive list of all of my ships. It is a list of all of my ships that I have something substantial to say about. For example, you're not going to see Mint Coco here, because all I can say about them is that it's cute, I like it, but it's not my favorite. And with all that mumbo jumbo out of the way, let's roll. Shoving my pure vanilla is non-binary headcanon aside for a bit, it's not often that I ship male and female, or MF as I'll be referring to them from now on, pairings. If you were to come up to me and say, "Hey Megan, what MF pairings do you ship?" I could only give you 3 answers. The aforementioned Pure Lily, Kizuryu and Peko from Danganronpa 2, and Joe and Sarah from Your Turn to Die. An MF pairing must fulfill 2 prerequisites in order for me to ship it. Those being: 1. The man must be interested in the woman beyond her looks. He's actively engaged in seeing her succeed. He cares about her interests and passions. Spending time with her isn't a necessary burden, it's something he wishes to do. And 2. Both halves of the pairing must have substantial personalities outside of being each other's partner. I can't surmise their entire character, or the bulk of their character, by mentioning the ship. In Pure Lily's case, White Lily has her general distaste for the way the world works, along with the whole becoming Dark Enchantress thing. Pure Vanilla struggles with feelings of inadequacy, but he still must act as a figurehead for the Vanilla Kingdom, even if he's shirked the title of king. And if you're into Danganronpa or Your Turn to Die, you'll know that both Fuyuhiko and Joe are characters who care about the women in their lives, but still have lots of character development beyond that care. White Lily also happens to be someone I relate to a lot. I really started getting into Cookie Run after cutting ties with an old friend group. White Lily mentioning separation from the group and wanting forgiveness during Pure Vanilla's initial coronation reminds me of that time. And Pure Vanilla himself reminds me of a loved one, so it was only a matter of time until I shipped these 2. Seamoon is a pairing very near and dear to my heart. It was the first Cookie Run pairing I ever shipped, as I began to like it even before getting into the franchise. I had seen fan art of it out and about on Twitter, and I distinctly remember telling my girlfriend, "I don't go here, but I like that one ship. The sea and the moon, Seamoon, is that it?" They've got a lot going for them. Bond stories, bits of animation, relationship chart stuff. They're tried and true and have been a thing for years. I'm a simple person. I see pretty women who like each other, and I like that those pretty women like each other. Powerful fantasy women? Even better. They're powerful, peaceful, melancholic, and to me, at least, just a bit cathartic. And that's what makes them special to me. I know. Going from Seamoon to Cotton Candy X Roquefort seems like a pretty big jump on the canon adjacentness scale. Just hear me out for a minute. You can get me to ship Roquefort with, like, any adult woman. As for why only women, that's because I've always seen them as a lesbian. You can see why in an old TikTok I made that I'll link in the description, but it basically boils down to how different their interactions between men and women tend to be. Speaking of lesbians, let's look at my girl Cotton Candy over here. Everyone in her relationship chart is either non-binary or a woman. I hope you can see where I'm going with this. As for why I'm placing it after Seamoon, it's because they have a canon interaction. And since it's Cotton Candy, it's almost certainly intended to be read as romantic. Now, contextually speaking, Roquefort is in the middle of an escape here. They could very well ignore Cotton Candy. The longer they stay, the greater the danger they have of getting caught. But they don't ignore her. Not only do they not ignore her, they also play along, accepting her advances. You could say it's in Roquefort's character to talk to whoever they meet, to walk the fine line between caught and free, but the interactions they have with Sparkling and Yogurt Cream don't have any of the same romantic undertones. I can't help but wonder, just what would these two say if they met again? What if Roquefort did receive that letter they got from Cotton Candy? Would they treasure it? Discard it? Perhaps even reply in earnest? Just some food for thought, if you will. I actually have a whole TikTok talking about these two, which was a whole PowerPoint presentation. But it's kind of old and outdated, and some of the info is actually incorrect, so let's consider this the Vampirb Explainer 2.0. Herb wants to cherish all the little things in life. Vampire's all about relaxing and living in the moment. This creates a cause and effect type deal, one into the other. Vampire helps Herb socialize more. Herb goes out drinking now. Look, they're even having the same drink, and here's Herb again in the 2022 Christmas title screen drinking again. Their soul stones are next to each other in the shop. Need I mention the fact that Herb literally has a God of Grape Juice costume? The only other costume in this set is Lemon. Why would Herb Cookie get the God of Grape Juice costume? It doesn't make much sense on its own, but if you think that Herb likes vampire, suddenly it starts to make a lot of sense. Like, come on! Come on! They make me feel like this picture from Always Sunny. It's about connecting all the little dots with these two. My stupid background character men. And even if you don't ship them, their friendship, man. They just like each other. They're buddies, chums even. I love a good set of chums. Chums who don't do big things for the plot. Static characters who enjoy their mundane lives. And that's why I love Vampirb. Earl Venture is where we get into that one piece of relationship chart dialogue territory. Well, in this case it's two pieces, but a lot of their dynamic exists as headcanon shenanigans in my head. Earl Grey admires Adventurer, that much is canon. He has a lot of admirations, actually, and they're rather consistent too. Free-spirited and rich. Both men and women too. Does Earl Grey is bi? Perchance. Are these canonically crushes? No. But I'm making the choice to view them as such, which gives me a narrative of one-sided feelings for Adventurer on Earl Grey's end. Earl Grey finds purpose in serving others, and Adventurer is the type of guy to find himself at parties but be upset about it. This upset is likely to come from stuffy clothes, as his relationship with Chocolate Bonbon Cookie states. But Earl Grey wouldn't know that. Among all the other well-dressed socialites, Adventurer would stand out. A perfectionist like Earl Grey probably wouldn't be able to stand such a thing. So he talks to Adventurer, one thing leads to another, and they eventually end up getting along. I'm sure I sound insane here. I'm literally making stuff up. But that's a lot of the joy in shipping, and in fandom as a whole. I do tout myself as a fandom-centric YouTuber, after all. This is the sort of thing my mind does on its own. And if Earl Venture sounds crazy and cringeworthy to you, these next two pairings are only going to get worse. We've finally made it to the they've never interacted tier. When it comes to writing scripts for my videos, I tend to go out of order. I go in the order of my thoughts, then rearrange them accordingly if needed. With WereClaire, I wrote this part of the script last. This pairing makes so much sense to me, yet explaining it to people is surprisingly difficult. The biggest in-game factor I can point to for these two is Eclair's decor, which just so happens to be a tent. An excavation tent. This man does field work. He's not complaining that his dress might get dirty in the Tea Knight Guild story, so him being in forests and meeting Werewolf doesn't sound all that far-fetched, right? I think Eclair would take pity in seeing Werewolf alone. I think he'd try to integrate him into society if they met. Plus, Eclair has not one, but two jobs. If my failed job application searches have taught me anything, it's that you need connections to go places. Eclair can give Werewolf those connections. He can be a springboard through which Werewolf can make new friends. Some ships you ship because they're pretty. Some ships you ship because they're funny. And some ships you ship because they're wholesome and healing. And WereClaire happens to fall into that wholesome and healing category. At least, they certainly do for me. Red Velvet and Almond. I've intentionally saved these two for last because it's the funniest of my ships in my opinion. Where the ones I've explained before tend to elicit tender and heartfelt vibes, Red Almond is just two middle-aged guys with completely different vibes smacked together because I think the concept's hilarious. It's a crack ship. I don't take them very seriously at all. Will they ever meet? Probably not. Red Velvet seems to have a habit of locking himself in the Tower of Sweet Chaos whenever the Cookies of Darkness go on missions. And let's face it, Almond? This guy isn't going to mixers. He saw a dragon once and tried to arrest it. Neither of these two have the greatest people skills. What do they have in common? A fondness for animals. Red Velvet's is obvious. I don't think I have to go over that. For Almond, it's a little more obvious in Oven Break, where cookie pets are a core gameplay mechanic. Meet Constable Whiskers, the winged cat who likes to do two things: help lost kittens and annoy Almond Cookie. Almond didn't even adopt the little guy. It essentially just chose him as an owner. I think this speaks to how soft Almond is under his tough exterior, especially since he's been depicted caring for this cat in official art. Let's say Red Velvet goes to Parfadia. Let's say Chiffon goes missing. And a certain detective happens to be there. I'm to believe Almond would dedicate himself to the case. Maybe they'd get along. Maybe they'd banter. Plus, can you imagine what it'd be like for Walnut on a take-your-parent-to-school day? Everyone's expecting the hard-boiled detective, but instead you get Mr. Hot Topic. The clash these two have is just nothing short of hilarious to me. And that's everything for now, at least. Knowing me, I'll probably have way more ships in the future. Maybe I'll make a part 2 if I think I have enough to say something about. Again, if you don't ship these, that's fine. In the event that I've convinced you, however, you're free to tag me in your fan art or whatever. Anyways, Mahi Megan out. Peace!